What's up, YouTubers? It's me, Johnny. It's a Friday. I just want to make a video on the markets have been pretty bad lately, and the sentiment, like on Twitter, financial Twitter, is really bad. It's really amazing how negative people are right now. But I just want to show you a chart of the euro dollar. It's been just plunging for like all year. We're now at 96 cents. So that's pretty amazing. I'm not sure what that really means, but what's really interesting is the pound yen chart, or pardon me, the pound dollar chart. It fell 3.5% today. It's at 108, and I'm not really sure. I read in the news that this is the lowest the pound's been against the dollar for like almost 40 years. I think I read 37 years. And I read a news report, or I thought I did, that short-term interest rates were 9%, on pound sterling. And I'm pretty sure I was wrong because I kept looking in the news. I didn't see anywhere where interest rates are at 9%, in the United Kingdom. So whatever I read, I misunderstood. The reason I'm bringing all this up is because at first, when the dollar really started to get strong, it started with dollar yen. You can see right up here. That's when, a few days ago, when, in my opinion, or from what I read, the Japanese central bank intervened in the market to keep it from going up to 150. So we may have gotten a reversal on that for a short period of time. My only point is, now that's starting to happen with the pound dollar. This kind of volatility where you're seeing the pound go down 3.5%, that is just amazing. And then with the dollar yen, I think it's down 40%, in like half a year, 3 or 4 months or something. That kind of volatility in foreign exchange markets is, I think, what we're seeing, how the markets are going to come unglued, is through the foreign exchange markets. And I don't have it on here. I want to see if we have. No, we don't have it. But the dollar's really up against the Korean won. Oh, maybe it's. Nope. I don't know what the symbol is for the Korean won, but anyways, the dollar is really strong, and it's going to be interesting to see if the Fed's going to continue raising interest rates. And so far what we've seen is these central banks are going to destroy a lot of these first world countries, like usually it looks like the Eurozone right now. I don't think you're going to see any immediate emerging market meltdowns. I think you're just going to see something happen in the Eurozone and the pound area that's just ugly. Anyways, today the dollar rallied a lot against the Mexican peso. So far the dollar, it looks like the dollar is going to be the outlet through which I guess people are calling the Great Reset. But anyways, I want to show you some shares. EPD is down 5.5%. It's hitting the trend line. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I expect over time it'll break down. TLT is what I really want to point the viewers to. Today it closed positive on the daily candle. And that'll be interesting to see if it holds and if it can rally back up. If it can, then there may not be an economic crisis, but so far it looks like there is. Take a look at British American Tobacco. Look at it, just totally broke down 5.5%, almost 6%. Vale, that's the iron ore company out of Brazil, pays about a 10% dividend. Went up, hit the trend line, now it's reversing, coming back down. We'll see what happens. But it was down 4.5%. Lundin is down 9.5%. It's a copper play. So as you can see from the charts, commodities are getting crushed. Uranium down 10%. This is just a royalty trust, or a royalty, invest in royalties. It's not a trust. Down almost 10%. arc broke down from the trend line. It's a business development company. It pays about 7, 8, 9%. Canadian natural resources down about 7.5%, hit the trend line. I expect Monday will go through it and maybe we'll settle down around 37.5. Sibanye down 7.5%, went through a trend line. That's a South African platinum company. Pays about 10% dividends. Probably they'll be cut, I'm guessing. There's Sandstorm, a gold royalty company. They invest in royalties. Not a royalty company, but they invest in royalties for gold and silver and copper. Wheaton Precious Metals down 4.5%. Intel is now at 27.5. I haven't invested in anything, but some of my friends said if it got down that low, they would invest. Verizon 39.5. Verizon's been not performing well for a long time now. Here's the other one that you should look at. It's the 7 to 10 year ETF. It finally closed up here, then it went down, now up. We'll have to see what happens Monday, but it looks to me like maybe these long duration bonds and the 10-year bond, it might be returning back to normal. If that's the case, we'll have an orderly market and things won't break down, but we'll see. We'll have to see what happens. There's Newmont down 2.5%, almost 2%. There's Gold, not Gold Corp, Barrick Gold out almost 4%. Another good chart to look at is Suncor. It just broke down. We're almost at 27.20. It'll be interesting to see what happens Monday. I expect it'll bounce and bounce up or a bounce and go down. But I'm more bullish long term on oil shares and uranium. But short to medium term, I wouldn't be surprised to see oil go down. I'm more bullish short term on uranium. There's Denison. The bounce right off the trend line. I keep thinking they'll go to 88 cents or 80 cents or 85, something like that. I'll maybe take a position because it went down to 90 some cents and went up to $1.40. So you got a nice 40-50% rally. I didn't catch that rally, but if we get down here again, I'm going to take a position, and it'll probably be a trading position, not a long-term hold. XLU, that's the utilities ETF. It just broke through this trend line, came back up. So maybe this is the bottom too. So maybe bonds and interest rate sensitive stuff will stop going down, or it might not. This is a chart that's really interesting. This Petrobras, it's the Brazilian oil company. I own a small stake in this share. Right now it pays out about a 50% dividend, which you would expect to be cut, especially with these lower oil prices. So I'm going to wait and see if it bounces off this trend line or what happens, but I expect they'd cut the dividend down, at least down to 25%. We'll have to wait and see. These companies are super cheap, but there's probably a reason for it. One of them being it's in Brazil. The election is really close, and one of the old presidents who's running Lulu, I think, he said he's going to charge natural resource companies like Vale and Petrobras higher royalties for the resources coming out of the ground. Now we saw in Colombia, in Chile, they had a new constitution they voted for, and they voted against it, or they voted it down. So sometimes when these things happen, even if the left returns to power or gets to power, they don't always get away with raising the royalties. Now my understanding in Brazil, that's been very unpopular with the business class. We'll see what happens, but if Lulu wins, he may try to get that through. But I'm guessing cooler heads will prevail and that will not happen. But even if it happens, I think it's worth the risk of having a small position in these kind of wild speculations. They pay nice dividends. The real is kind of strengthened a little bit. I'm still surprised with the way the dollar's been so strong, that it's actually continued rallying a little bit against the dollar. But we'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. But part of my thesis, my bet is, I don't know when, but at some point the natural resource shares and commodities will come back. Maybe the growth companies like Google and Apple, I'm not really sure. But The other thing I think is this could be a 5 or 10 year bear market like we had in the 70s. If that is the case, then I want to own these kind of shares and just trade them from the low end to the high end. Same with the value stocks like BTI or some of the large cap oil companies like Suncor or like maybe Dow Chemicals, stuff like that, the material companies. But like Verizon. But Verizon's just been going down, down, down. I think it's almost at 6% dividend yield. But like Black and Decker would be a good example. I don't have that on the charts here, but if we're in that situation, but I don't, we'll have to wait and see. I just think this could be the beginning of where you won't expect share prices to go up for like 30, 40 years straight. And we might have a 5 or 10 year bull market in oil and gas shares and copper and nickel shares, things like that. And just for the viewers, the Vale isn't really a play so much on iron ore because it's an iron ore company in Brazil. It's more of a play on nickel. Their nickel deposits are more what I'm interested in. Anyways, I just want to make a video on kind of this carnage we're seeing in the markets this last week. I guess I'm in the camp where I think inflation can come down, but it's going to be sticky. I'm not yet in the camp where I think there's going to be deflation or disinflation, although it's possible. I just don't know. That's one camp, and then the other camp is inflation. If it comes down, it'll be really, really slow. I'm kind of leaning towards that end of the range. That's why I'm watching TLT and IEO or IEF, because I want to see how these bonds withstand these high rates of interest. I just wonder how long the Fed or the U.S. government can fund these deficits with interest rates at 3.5% to 4%. I think 2 years or 1 or 2 year treasuries are now close to 4%, but this is TLT of 20 plus years, 20 years, and it's at a 104, and I don't know what the high is. Yeah, 155, and at one point I think it was 200. If we go on the weekly chart, let's check out the weekly or the monthly. No, it doesn't look like it went up to 200. I was wrong. But if the dollar keeps strengthening, and if the Fed keeps raising rates, maybe we'll go beyond 100 and what was it at 179? Yeah, 179. Maybe we'll go if it rallies. I mean, if it doesn't rally, maybe we'll go. I was thinking today maybe we'll go down to $50 for TLT. I just can't imagine that, but stranger things have happened. Anyways. Not much is going on here where I'm at. Cold as heck. Don't envy being in the States right now. Anyways, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks.